What's up, everybody? My name is Brad, and today I've got another book review for you. Today we're talking about The Devil's Dreamland by Sara Tantlinger. And this is from Strange House Books, which I believe is part of, is it Rooster Republic, I think? Yeah, Rooster Republic Press. But this is a collection of poetry inspired by America's first serial killer, H.H. Holmes. And I got this in the November Nightworms package. I believe it was called Feasting on Horror. So because I got it there, I also got a signed book plate with it, which was really cool. But I don't read poetry at all. I don't really care about poetry at all. So I was a little wary going into this one. I had heard great things about her novella, To Be Devoured. So I was excited to try something written by her. But like I said, I wasn't sure if I would like it since it was a collection of poetry. But the short of it is, I thought this was a masterpiece. I really did love this. I'll go ahead and read the back real quick, and I'll sort of give you my thoughts on it. H.H. Holmes committed ghastly crimes in the late 19th century, many of which occurred within his legendary murder castle in Chicago, Illinois. He is often considered America's first serial killer. In her second book of poetry from Strange House Books, Sara Tantlinger takes inspiration from accounts and tales which spawned from the misdeeds of one Herman Webster Mudgett, better known as Dr. Henry Howard Holmes. Fact and speculation intertwined herein just as they did during the man's own lifetime. There's plenty of room in the cellar for everyone in the Devil's Dreamland. Like I said, I was totally taken aback, caught off guard, blown away by this. I didn't think I would ever love poetry, but this has turned me onto, at least for sure, horror poetry. I felt that every line, every word, every stanza was perfect. You could tell Sara did I say Sara like I know who she is. Sara Tantlinger did a painstaking amount of research. I did see on her Twitter, she shared a picture sort of the behind, I guess, the scenes of it. And she had like 10 or so books that she had read to do research for this poetry collection, which was really cool. But it starts out with the birth of H.H. Holmes and goes through his life, him growing up and sort of becoming a medical student, and then his time before Chicago, moving to Chicago, his murder castle, and then sort of going on the run once collection agencies and things start coming after him. All the murders that he does, and then, his final days in prison, and then sort of the afterlife a little bit, which I was really impressed that she included that. There's a show called American Ripper, and it is about, I think it's the great-great-grandson of H.H. Holmes. He's trying to prove his theory that H.H. Holmes was also Jack the Ripper. But at the end of that show, they excavate or exhume H.H. Holmes' remains. And that is the last poem in here of that process, which I thought was really cool. But this is gruesome and brutal and really, it's poetry, so it's sparse, but it's meant to be sparse. So every word is put there for a reason. There's nothing wasted, no wasted words or wasted time. She does a great job putting you in these scenes. You feel the emotion of it. You feel the weight of it. I believe in my written review, I said her poetry was lyrically morbid. Her prose was lyrically morbid. I loved every bit of it. There are some poems in here from an omniscient point of view. I think that's the right word for it. Where are they here? Let me see. First one is there's more than this, but I'm going to name two. There's the Bloodletting of a New Century, which is from the perspective of the 19th century itself, saying how it was destined for greatness. There was all these new inventions, like the electric light and all these things. It was destined to be remembered as a great century. And then H.H. Holmes came along and tainted and tarnished sort of the memory of what the 19th century would be held as, which I thought was really cool perspective. I believe the other one is the Great Chicago Fire, which is from the perspective of the city of Chicago itself. It's sort of this dirty, rough place, and then the fire comes through and basically burns the whole place down, turns it all to ashes. And this is from the city's perspective of being born again, being reborn as the great white city, where the World's Fair would come to be held, where H.H. Holmes, stalked and killed many, many people. I think it says he confessed to, I'm going to get this number wrong, I want to say like 7, but he was thought to do 22. Maybe I probably got those numbers way wrong. But that's where he built his murder castle. If you don't know anything about his murder castle, it was basically a hotel, and it had secret chambers and passageways and secret doors, and some of the rooms he was able to pump gas in there to knock people out and cause them to suffocate. He had secret body chutes where he could dispose of bodies down into the basement, where there were vats of acid and quicklime where he would dissolve people and do autopsies and cut their bodies open and do all sorts of nasty things to them. And you really feel all that in the poems when Sara is describing these murders and these people that he's getting to know and conning. He was a great con man. He would con people and get them to trust him and love him, and then he would do horrible things to them. And this is, like I said, basically a story in poem form about the life of H.H. Holmes, which I, like I said, absolutely loved. It's violent, it's gruesome, it's brutal. It makes you feel sorry for the people that he twisted and manipulated and eventually ended up killing a lot of these people. So it was a great look into the mind of this sociopath, this psychopath, but through a different medium, through poetry, instead of what we would normally read, a book or a television show or anything like that. So I thought that was great. So like I said, this was a masterpiece for me. Every poem, obviously I like some poems more than others, but every poem was evocative and perfection in my opinion. I loved everything about it. So I can't recommend this one highly enough. If you're not into poetry, but you are into true crime and horror and things, I suggest giving this a try. I do think it can change your mind on it. It definitely changed my mind on horror poetry, and I will definitely be checking out definitely some more of her work and maybe some other cannot say that word today, horror poetry as well. But that's all I have to say about this. This is The Devil's Dreamland, poetry inspired by H.H. Holmes by Sara Tantlinger. Obviously, this is a 5 out of 5 star for me. 5 out of 5 star read for me. Can't recommend it highly enough. But have you read The Devil's Dreamland? If so, I'd like to know your thoughts and comments about it down in the comment section below. If you liked it, didn't like it. If you have read it, maybe what your favorite poem was in it, so we can discuss that. But that's all I have for y'all today. So thanks for spending your time with me. Again, my name is Brad, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.